And we're back with Nick Ackerman and Kathleen Parker. Nice to see you both.
Good to see you.
Kathleen, how about it, all those individuals and those who have yet to speak?
Well, you know, it's long been known that if you walk into the Trump administration, you're going to come out with dirty. And I think a lot of people, I think we're probably going to see a lot more people coming forward because they're not going to take the fall for this guy who now has proved over and over, and as your report makes very clear, that once you are no longer useful to Donald Trump, he will throw you under that very large bus that sits idling on Pennsylvania Avenue. The thing that puzzles me about all of this is why the Democrats don't have these hearings in the open. The fact is, you know, they need to trust the American people to watch this. As far as the impeachment goes, whether the Senate will convict Donald Trump is probably pretty unlikely, no matter what turns up in the next few days and weeks.
I don't think we know. I mean, I would gently push back, although you were a Washington expert, and say...
Hardly.
I'd say anyone 2 months... Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Congress can get this information in other ways.
Yeah,
right?
but I mean, I just on the point of following the facts, I don't think 2 months ago anyone would have said we'd be on the precipice of impeachment, and here we are. I don't think a year ago anyone would have said John Bolton would have a crisis of conscience and be making it known that he saw a drug deal. So I think it is hard to predict. Let me read to you for your analysis, Kathleen, what we're hearing from other reports on Mick Mulvaney. Current and former officials say he contributed substantially to the unfolding crisis, connecting key events relating to the attempt to pressure Ukraine, and through his general approach to the chief of staff job and reluctance to ever displease the president. Does he have a problem?
Oh, I think he clearly has a problem. And he was very much engaged in doing some of Donald Trump's dirty work, as you say. And I don't know how these people think that they're going to somehow not be damaged by this. Ultimately, you know, it seems to me that all roads lead to Rudy on the impeachment. Everything that Rudy Giuliani has done, you know, he's got a very odd position. He's the lawyer for the president, but he doesn't get paid, at least not by the taxpayers. He gets paid by these fellows that he associates with. And these guys are clearly shady and corrupt. And it seems as though, you know, Rudy Giuliani did no due diligence on these guys, or he became engaged with them because they would do, you know, his bidding as relates to either the Biden investigation or the Burisma special prosecutor investigation. But, you know, Rudy made a lot of money from those guys. He's admitted that they paid him $500,000. Well, what did he do for that? Obviously, they're paying him for access. They're paying him for access to the president of the United States. Now, Rudy Giuliani is how do you explain that to Donald Trump?
Well, let me bring in Nick on that, because Kathleen lays it out so expertly. The last person who worked really for a long time in a big job for free for Donald Trump was Paul Manafort. And it turned out he was getting paid by, people in Ukraine.
Right, and Russians.
The biggest money was from Ukraine, the ledger, and that was a lot of the stuff that got him tripped up with the feds. Speak to Kathleen's point as well as what we could learn from these witnesses.
Well, I think what we're going to learn from these witnesses, and first of all, I think this stuff does have to be done in private right now. We're dealing with a lot of people who have information that's classified information. Congress has to sort through that and decide what's going to be shown to the public. Secondly, they've got to put together this whole story, and they've got to do it in a contained way so that witnesses don't know what each other are saying. You want to be able to put this together in a contained way.
And let's get into the intersection. You worked at SDNY.
Right.
And you worked as a Watergate prosecutor.
Correct.
And here is SDNY back in the middle of a big probe that also involves Washington. And the reporting here, and I'm crediting CNN because we haven't confirmed this, but they report FBI agents and prosecutors in the case come from the same public corruption unit that went after Cohen. And it's clear the investigation could result, they say, quote, in more charges.
And I think one of the people that they're looking at, one of the subjects is Rudy Giuliani. I mean, you've clearly got a prima facie case of Hobbs Act extortion with respect from Trump to the president of Ukraine. You've got possible.
You're talking about a federal law against extorting a bribe.
That's right.
And the bribe.
Extorting
action.
act,
And
which
what would they be extorting? What would Trump be extorting?
He'd be extorting to get them to open an investigation into Joe Biden.
And that's
son.
enough. And you're on the Fed. Impeachment is this complex thing. You're saying up here in New York, where Michael Cohen is.
We got a federal crime.
And Giuliani, that's already a federal crime.
It's a federal crime. It's a federal crime also to be getting something of value for a campaign, which is what he's doing.
When Rudy said yesterday he doesn't have a lawyer, doesn't need one right now, what did you think?
I think he's full of it. He knows he needs a lawyer. I think he even announced he has a lawyer, is my understanding.
His lawyer left him this week.
Oh, is that John
Yeah,
Sale?
they separated, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I think he needs a lawyer badly because they're on the face. It looks as though whatever Trump was doing, he was doing. It's not so much all roads lead to Rudy, all roads lead to Donald Trump.
And Kathleen, briefly, your final thought, tying it all together.
Well, Rudy has been whispering in the president's ear all this time and telling him whatever conspiracy theories pleased his palate at the moment. We know that Donald Trump is paranoid and inclined toward conspiracy theories. And so there's always the question in the back of my mind, did Rudy actually have anything to say that was based on any kind of legitimate facts? These fellows that were feeding him information clearly had their own agenda. And I always wondered just if there wasn't the possibility that Rudy was played and the president was played, and that may be why Rudy is being thrown back under that bus.
Wow. It's a lot. And it's really interesting getting both of your expertise on this at a time where we're feeling a breaking point coming, whether it breaks towards they have enough evidence and they move, or they've heard from everybody and they don't. It is a lot coming at us. Nick and Kathleen, thanks to both of you.
Thanks.
Thanks. Nice to see you.
Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.